3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode 4 of Into the Rift. This is Kiwi and I'm really excited. We have a special guest with us today, Eric Ocho Cleaver. But first, Seaton, how's it going?
Not too bad, Kiwi.
Nice. You pumped for this?
Yes, I am super pumped. I can't wait for the podcast today. I was wondering, because I heard you talking double, I realized I just had it playing in the background, so I have just already confused myself, and it hasn't even been a minute. So today's going to be absolutely wonderful.
Nice. And we have Sion Storm with us as well. How you doing, Sion?
I'm very good. It is a nice Sunday, and I'm interested to see what Ocho has to say today.
I am going to ask him how we pronounce that name, but welcome, Ocho. Thank you for taking the time, and if I'm pronouncing it wrong, you're going to let us know. It is a beautiful Sunday, and we appreciate you taking the time. How you going?
Well, hey, I'm really happy to be here. So I'm going to have to side with Science Storm on this one. It's Ocho, as in the Spanish number 8.
Spanish number 8. Is that your lucky number?
No, well, it is now. But what happened was years ago, I started working in community, and when you start out, or at least at that time when I started out, the most common path was through forum moderation. So I became moderator 08 on City of Heroes, and I have a little bit of a personality. People tend to recognize me off the bat. So the players were looking for more of a name to give me, so they referred to me as Ocho. And when I did eventually become more of a proper community person, I decided that since that was the name that they had given me, I would stick with it. So since then, I've been Ocho, or the Ocho.
Very nice. And you've been with Rift and Trove now for 7 months. It's flowing, hasn't it?
Oh, it's gone super quick.
And I remember when you joined with Evan Scapes Berman, or Scapes, everybody just knows him as Scapes. Can you share with us how you became a community manager for Trion Worlds, including work or study history?
I'll go back to the beginning and sort of just give you my whole spiel. Years ago, I was working as a bartender. And a buddy of mine who I had done tabletop gaming with for years says, "Hey, Eric, I want you to come be a systems designer on City Heroes." And I said, "Okay, that's cool." He's like, "But we don't have any openings for systems designers right now. So we do have an opening in community. It'll be a great way to network and get to know people. And then when an opening in systems design comes up, we will move you over." And I'm like, "Okay, what's community?" He's like, "I don't know, you talk about video games or something." So I said, "Well, hey, I could do that." And I applied for the job in community and got it. And when the opportunity came up to become a systems designer, I said, I really am digging this community thing. So I worked for community on City Heroes, and eventually I went over to Sony Online, and I worked in community there for a couple of years. And I was, definitely looking for some change, looking for something new, and looking to get closer to my family because they're in the area here in San Mateo County. And I heard about an opening at Trion Worlds, sort of through the grapevine. And they're like, "I don't think the job is posted yet, but here's Scott Hartzman's private email address. Go ahead and send him your resume." So I did. He called me 20 minutes later and was like, "Hey, you're in San Diego and you have a San Mateo phone number. I'm in San Mateo and have a San Diego phone number. Let's talk."
That's so cute. 20 minutes, just like that.
It worked out really nicely. I think somebody may have said some nice things about me to him, and I appreciate it when people lie on my behalf.
So it might be a... Oh, sorry, guys.
I was about to say, fastest interview processing ever.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I still had to go through the full formal interview, and it was difficult because I was working full time, and with community, it's more than 40 hours a week usually. So, arranging it worked out. But Trion was a company I was really interested in. Definitely very player forward, The community is super important to them. A lot of really, really talented people. And it turns out that a fair number of people who I had worked with over the years also ended up joining around the same time. So it's really exciting.
And that's probably like really key to wanting a job like this, like because just observing over the last couple of years, you probably know a lot of different people in a lot of different games, and probably a lot of devs and CMs would have worked with them as well too. So it's probably pretty tight knit as far as a gaming community as a whole would go, wouldn't it?
Definitely, especially because I've really only worked in massively multiplayer games. I mean, there's a couple smaller games that I've worked on that weren't MMOs, but what I do is really, really specialized, and there's just not that many people who have experience working on MMOs, so we tend to know each other.
Well, we're glad to have you. It's great seeing you guys come on, and it's been interesting because it's gone from Rift and Defiance to now Rift, Defiance, Trove, and Arcade. So it's been interesting to see how you share the workload and what's been going on over the last 7 months as well. Busy.
Very, very busy, but busy is good. Busy means that things are going in the right direction. It's really fun, it's really exciting, and it's a really exciting time, especially for me in Rift, because Rift is sort of undergoing a transition. Rift was a very new MMO, it was exciting, it had a lot of new tech, it's absolutely gorgeous, but the community is maturing now. It's not just that launch product, it's becoming more established. Personalities are rising out in a way that you don't see in the same launch product. Long-term relationships are forming. So getting to be a part of that is really, really amazing.
So in regards to that, and with what you're just saying, then you have Trove, which is very fresh. It's still in its growing stages and not yet live. It's just gone into closed beta on September the 25th. What are some differences between the two that you're finding?
Well, very, very different games. And because of the different nature of the games themselves, they're both MMOs, but one of them is voxel creative based, and one of them is, the more traditional, hardcore raiding PvP MMO. It attracts completely different kinds of people. The Trove community is absolutely amazing. I mean, literally the friendliest bunch of people on the internet I have ever seen. They're
Agreed.
super helpful, super nice, great people. And because of the way that game works, where the community is so just involved in, actually building the game. I mean, they've created over 1,000. I'm pretty sure we're close to 2,000, if not there now. But created all sorts of different items in the game. Very involved in determining the direction of the game. It presents an entirely different, sort of point of view. When we had the community day at Trion Worlds, where we invited out a bunch of community members for different games, it was really exciting to see, because the Rift players stayed very true to form. They all grouped up, no matter what game they were in. They immediately, were like, okay, how are we going to raffle on this content? It was very focused, very directional, and very group oriented. The Trove players wanted to do everything. Like, oh, let's see everything this game has to offer, no matter what game it is they're playing. And then they would go and try and help other people.
I remember that. That was a brilliant day. I was so upset that you couldn't be there, Kiwi. We just had so much fun on that community day. And Eric was right. I mean, me and Will were ruthless. We just banded all the Rift players together, and we're like, we have to take out the biggest, baddest thing right now. There's no waiting around, no time for exploring. So yeah, anyway, Kiwi, I'll let you continue your point.
No, I was going to say, I regret not being there as well. It would have been great to meet everybody and to see, what was it like for you two to meet each other? Like, you become a voice and then you meet people in person. What was it like for you two to meet each other?
Well, I had no idea who he was until he started talking.
Yeah, that was my experience with everyone, just because I look totally different from what I sound like. Like I'm quite young in real life, and my voice, to most people, makes it sound like I'm kind of 40 plus. So yeah, I assume everybody was expecting somebody a lot older when they met me, but no, I still had a brilliant time. It was amazing meeting Eric and the rest of the people at Trion. They were certainly a very friendly bunch, so I didn't feel out of place.
Yeah, no, it's always really really enjoyable. I mean, the reason you make games is so people play them. So the best thing in the world is meeting the people who love and play your games. Uh, there's nothing better than that.
And is that the first time you've been involved on something as personal as that with a game, Eric?
It's something I have a fair amount of experience with. I've hosted sort of miniature conventions in between a couple hundred and a couple thousand people. I've done a couple small focus meet and greets, like the Trion Worlds Community Day, but it's different every time. I mean, every different group of people, the individuals are really what makes it special.
And what would
Did
you say you enjoy most about being a community manager? And if I cut you off, Storm, let me know and throw it in
no,
there
it's
first.
fine. Go ahead.
Uh,
I'll
so
stay there.
uh, the best part about being community manager is the players. You know, I only play online multiplayer games nowadays. Once in a great while, I'll play a single player game. But, for me, it's all about the community. The game is great, and the game is what gets you there, and it gives you something to do with other people. But the community is why I play these games, and it doesn't matter which game it is. It's I'm there to play with other people, and so for me, being community manager is literally the most important thing I could do. Helping support communities, helping communities grow, informing players, about what we're doing, and taking the players' feedback to the development team, and sort of helping the development team process and understand why it is what players are saying, what they're saying, uh, is the most important job that I could think of in the MMO industry.
I have a
So,
question.
oh gosh, Storm.
Shoot.
What would somebody have to do to actually, like, if you had to give advice to the people watching, what would they have to do to get your attention the best as a community manager?
Uh, Post something well thought out and interesting. I mean, what it ultimately matters is the quality of the ideas you're presenting. Presenting them well also helps, but if you post a logical argument that people are interested in and want to talk about, and you can lay your ideas out in a very easy to understand fashion, it makes my life a million times easier. There's nothing that makes an impact on a developer quite like the player's words. I can summarize till I'm blue in the face, but seeing it in black and white from the player is always the most important thing. And so, when I come across something, because I spend a lot of time reading, various forms of player communication, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on uh, YouTube, whether it's on the forums, wherever it is, if it's well thought out, even if I don't necessarily agree with it, I'm much more interested. If it's well written, if it's a giant block of text, it's hard to read. Paragraphs make a huge difference. So those sorts of things really make a difference.
Tech Willie
Trying,
would probably be the king of that. He always has great information with his posts. Tech Willie or Destinova, as most know him. I've always appreciated how much detail and why he comes up with what he does. So he's probably a good.
yeah, it's one thing he does is he doesn't say, I'm unhappy about this. It's just say, I'm unhappy about this. He says, I'm unhappy about this for this reason, and this reason. Now, that's easy to take action off of. We can look at the reasons and say, okay, this is a problem, or this is another way we can address this, or this is why we need to fix this, or we need to have better messaging to explain why we're doing something the way we're doing. Details really, really matter.
Nice.
If you just say, oh, well, this makes me mad, okay, I understand the emotion, but there's not much I can do.
Yeah, that's why I said that particular question, because sometimes they, like, guys on the forum, they really don't know how to articulate themselves well, and they mean well, but sometimes it just doesn't come out well, or they just
Oh,
don't know how to get in contact with somebody to get the actual idea out. So that's why I said that.
definitely, definitely, and it's really appreciated. Now, and Kiwi has a long experience with this because I tend to work a little bit more closely with our fan sites. Um, I'm a forgetful person. There's a million things going on, and it's
What?
hard
You're
to
human?
it's hard to keep track of every contact. But I do appreciate the heads up of, hey, here's something that somebody should read. Here's a link. Please check it out. Now, I may not respond, uh, but I'll definitely go check it out. Just sort of throwing out that reminder of not just doing it, but hey, here's something that I spent a lot of time with that I'm very interested in something seeing. Just poking me once in a while.
So, with these insights, you've touched briefly on you read a lot of the stuff that's out there via social media, via forums. You've touched on how people can approach you via forums and detail matters. So, what's your typical day like for a senior community manager?
Well, when I have a typical day, I will let somebody know because I'll be pretty shocked. I try and spend at least an hour a day on the forums reading. A lot of it is trying to figure out here's the information we have. How are we going to present this? For example, writing a blog article on something. Every little word matters. So writing that blog article to absolutely convey everything that we're doing and making it understandable and presenting it in a way that people will accept, because if you use the wrong words, even if it's the right idea you're trying to tell people, people are going to be unhappy. So trying to come up with that overall strategy of when to tell people about stuff, when is stuff going to be ready to tell people about, and how are we going to tell them about it is a huge part of my day. I'll occasionally go to meetings with the team, present them feedback, tell them what we're doing, wrangling people for live streams, talking to developers about exactly what's going on. Because a lot of times developers will make a change and they'll try and sort of parse through feedback, but if it's a 300 or 400 post thread, it's hard for them to sort of get an overall picture, especially since they're the creators.
Right.
And when you've created something and everybody's like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever, after about 5 posts of that, you're starting to feel pretty bad about them yourself. So I can go in as somebody who didn't create it and really go through the feedback and say, here's the 5 things that they like, here's the 3 things that they don't like, here's 4 ideas that people have brought up, and parse through that. That can be really, really handy for the team.
Now, speaking of ideas, is there any one idea that you actually liked that you can think of right now? Like,
I
it
mean,
just blew your mind?
So, to be perfectly honest, ideas are great in that they can spark more ideas, but most of the really obvious ideas have already been thought of by a developer. Even I'll have this idea that blows my mind, and I'll go and take it to the development team. They're like, "Yeah, here's the reason we thought of that already, and here's the reason we did pick it, and here's the reason we didn't pick it." So ideas are good, especially if it differs in minor details that actually change entirely how things play together. But the most important detail is why you do or do not like something.
That's cool.
Every so often you have an idea that blows your mind. You're like, oh my god, how could we not have thought about this? But that is the rarity.
I think we all do that though. Sometimes we go to forums and see something, and it's like a light bulb moment. Even from a player's perspective, someone says something that and it's a great idea.
Yeah.
But
So one of the
we're
ideas I really loved recently was placeable water volumes and dimensions. So if you've played much of Nightmare Tide, there's like water that you can go out the side of, or water you can go out the bottom of, and that's really really cool. And it blew my mind. I'm like, wow, yeah, that would be amazing. And the Dimensioners would love that. And then of course, I talked to the team, and they're like, oh, and here's the 10 reasons why that's hard, and we need to take a look at more of the tech. So they had already thought about it, and they understood that there were some real technical challenges. But to me, it was just like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, I know Kiwi would love that.
After you've built like 15 dimensions and you've hung out in them for a long time, you start seeing all the things that don't work. So there's a lot of things that I see people ask and talk about, and especially after also being a big part of creating an add-on for dimensions, you kind of learn really quick what can't be done, because a lot of it's distance and a lot of other things. So when I see things, I kind of like that happens a lot, because there'll be a ton of things I'd love to see in dimensions.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is a matter of prioritizing it and saying, okay, well, this thing is going to take 70 hours of work and will benefit maybe 10% of people, and that thing will take 50 hours of work and benefit 80% of people. And even though item A might be like the super cool thing, item B might be the thing you really need to fix.
And that's something that I'd love to ask you is about priorities and bigger picture. What is the bigger picture for a community manager? What is like your goal that you try and keep in mind while there's lots of little things going on? Because I'm pretty sure you have 1,000 things to do a day, minimum, probably.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the bigger picture is making sure the communication between the dev team and the community, both directions, is working properly. That is my number one priority. Absolutely. If that communication breaks down, the dev team could be doing amazing things, and nobody knows about it, and nobody's understanding it. And if the communication from the community to the dev team isn't working, we could be doing amazing things but doing the wrong things.
And like we've said that you've been here now for 7 months, and there we've had 2.7 and 2.8, and now we have 3.0 coming. A ton of changes. What's it been like? Because there's been a lot of tug of wars, if you like, between like change. People, a lot of people don't enjoy change, and so when changes occur in a game as big as they have, like what's it been like for you trying to quell the worries or concerns? And do you have any advice for people that do get as concerned as they do, perhaps like on forums or in the game itself?
I mean, definitely change is uncomfortable for everybody. I don't think there's anybody out there who's like, I want chaos. At least in their hobbies and the things that they love. So change is always scary. And we can try and outline the reasons. We can try and give details. I'm still working on getting more details out to the PvP community about some of the changes that are coming in Nightmare Tide for them. But, what I guess my best advice is take a deep breath. You may have concerns, outline your concerns, but then see how it actually works out. And if it's still, not what you're looking for, then it can change again. MMOs are evolving. They're trying new things. Rift is never going to be static. We are going to get, just one or two things. So, we're going to try this, and we're going to learn stuff from it, and we're going to improve it and change it again in the future. So, never stress too much about, what's coming next, because, it's only going to make the game better in the long run.
And I guess a perception, like, it's development, right? So things develop. So you might like develop something that works and then come up with another idea and give that a go as well, right? Because I think a lot of the time, or a lot of the arguments I've had or discussions has been people get a stagnant idea of something and that's the way it's going to stay. But it's always a continual getting new ideas process. Is that right?
Yeah, and I mean, how other things change, it's so let's take the PvP example. Developments in PvP also have an impact in developments in PvE, and vice versa. And a new trinket gets released, and suddenly it changes the meta. And so it's not only just the developments in the one area that you're focused on; it's developments everywhere. And it's okay. Well, we've learned something new. Let's improve it all for everywhere.
Makes
It's very much a
sense.
bigger pictures type thing.
For sure. Like, and being so involved in dimensions, you get a perspective of that because, like, dimensions come from what's created first. So it's an aspect of the game where if I see, like, for instance, going into alpha for 3.0, you see something that's like, oh my gosh, I hope I see this in dimensions. That's all you do, running around as a dimensioneer. And then you see a light bulb, a light fixture, or a nice chair, and that's the whole time you just, oh, I want to see that in dimensions. So you get the idea that things are going to develop. But like from PvP and PvE, it might be a little bit different.
It's more subtle. It's rarely as straightforward because, if say somebody or Vlad or Kervik makes changes to one of the souls, that's going to have huge impacts on lots of different parts of the game that aren't immediately apparent. So, let's make the change, see how it plays out, see what the developments are, and then make the next change based on that information.
Nice.
Soul changes are usually the biggest source of contention when it comes to things like that. I've noticed in the forums because everybody usually has a build that they like, and then a change would come by. Say like we'll give the pyromancers a go.
Yeah. Go straight
Everybody,
there.
yeah, everybody knows about the pyromancers. Everybody knows it's popular, but when the change comes to it, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a war. So I kind of
Well,
get your pain and your glory on that when it comes to that particular build.
yeah, you can't let things become too stagnant. It could be a great build that's a lot of fun, but if somebody's been playing that same build for 3 years or 5 years, because we're definitely looking at Rift in the long term. Rift isn't a game that we're only worried about next month. We're worried about next year. We're worried about 5 years from now. We're worried about 10 years from now. So while we can't entirely predict, what's going to happen with the future is, it's constantly how can we make everything better.
But you can change everything with just a flick of a switch and a push of a button, right? I'm being
Oh,
I'm being
the
sarcastic.
proverbial flick of the switch and the press of the button that 30 hours of QA work. But yeah.
Right. So while we're talking about communication and keeping bridges going, just a couple of social media questions. A small one here is that I'm active out there on all social media. So is Seedon and so is Science Storm. But is that you that's out tweeting and Facebooking, or do you guys share it amongst the team?
We tend to share it. It's unfortunately it's just more than any one person can handle every different communication channel, and it's not just Twitter and Facebook, and you also have to look at Reddit. You have to look at YouTube, which is a surprisingly robust communications channel, but it plays out totally differently. So all of us will take turns, and handle will have sometimes developers who are tweeting things out. Scott Hartzman, our CEO, loves Twitter and will occasionally tweet things out. Our customer service team will use Twitter. They'll tend to post things that are more, customer service focused, but given the breadth and depth of social media and the different communications needs, it can't just be handled by one person. I enjoy it. I'm probably a little bit trollier than some of the other members on the team, but
Nice.
Just a quick
I like
question
that fun.
about a quick question about how you handle YouTube. What kind of stuff do you go through? Do you go through like YouTubers' videos? Do you go through your own channels? How do you kind of filter through the YouTube stuff?
Well, that's an interesting question, which we're trying to figure out, especially since everything changes every 6 months. I love to watch videos. I rarely have time to watch an entire video, So a lot of times I'll watch a video if it's like 4 minutes or less. But if it's longer than that, I might, say, hey, can somebody else take a look at this and let me know? Quick summary, what are the, biggest points? What are the most interesting things they're saying? Just because I rarely am sitting at my desk for more than, say, 20 minutes at a time. There's always something else that needs to happen, somebody that needs to talk to. So when I'm pushing a web article where I have to, go and HTML it up and put it on the internet, then I might have a video playing on my second monitor to watch it, or a live stream. But going through even the comments, what are people's reaction to the video? Because that's oftentimes just as informative as the video itself. Looking through the comments on our videos, it's not something we do enough of. I wish we had more time, but it's every facet. I love jumping on Twitch and just being like, hey, what people are streaming our games right now, I'm gonna go watch, and maybe I'll say something, maybe I won't, but just sort of getting a feel for people actually playing the game.
Oh, sounds very cool. Back to you then, Kiwi.
And while we're on Twitch, Twitch for Rift used to be like Rift and Defiance every Friday. I would have my habitual beer and pizza on a Friday afternoon, but now with Trove and Arcade there, all the times have been chopped up a little bit and stuff like that. How's that working out, and how do you find Twitch live streams personally?
There's a combination of factors going on. We have a lot of information to share, and games generate new things and new information to share at a different pace. Traditionally, Trion World's live streams have been more informative, like, hey, let's share this new thing we're doing, or let's get this person to talk about this thing that they do. So, a big part of our focus right now is which games have the most interesting things to talk about, and we're going to push those games this week. Another thing is when in the cycle are we at? For example, Rift is moving very close now to the release of Nightmare Tide, and we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. So we're streaming even more often. We've been doing it 2 days a week now. I'm sort of mixed. I'd love to invest a lot more time in live streams. I'd love to, okay, let's, get a full set built, and, let's have, sort of talk show segments, and let's show videos, and, there's a ton of stuff you can do. But on the other hand, it's a lot of fun. It's really exciting. It's a direct, real-time conversation, or with a 1 minute delay, 2 minute delay, depending on how Twitch is feeling that day. Really allows you to bounce back and forth with the community.
But you must have been nervous, because sometimes I sit there and see all these questions getting fired at you guys, and I'm like, wow, how do you keep up with all that? But for your very first live stream, were you nervous?
My very first live stream was probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, and I was a little nervous. I've done a lot of talking in front of people, and actually even speaking in front of 500 or 600 people is less nerve-wracking for me than being on a live stream. But mostly with live stream, it's just parsing so many different information vectors at once. It's paying attention to what's going on the screen, paying attention to what the other people I'm there with are saying, paying attention to the chat and the questions that are going on. These are all sort of, different things coming in, and usually as a community manager, I'm playing the part of the ringmaster and trying to, make sure that all the important points get hit, that, everything we need to, share is going to be shared that week, setting up the schedule, making sure that everybody shows up on time, Yeah, it can be a little nerve-wracking, but it's always fun.
Nice. Well, we've touched a little bit on Fansites very briefly. Bloggers, so there's YouTubers and live streamers. You've talked a little bit about written stuff and things like that as well. So there's a lot of guides available out there. But how important are Fansites, bloggers, YouTubers, and live streamers to a game?
Absolutely critical. It's people that help create that sort of shared network of communication and community, and because there's so much going on, I'd love to, work with the class guys and write guides for every single soul, and every single build. But there's just no way I'll ever be able to accomplish that or even begin it. So, people going out and writing, say, class guides or writing a guide on dimensions adds, a resource for players that we don't have time to create, that we can't have time to create. So, actually invaluable to the community, invaluable to forming the community. It's amazing, amazing stuff. And, I wish I had more time to support it. That was definitely one of the things, even before I started, I said to our CEO, I said, what is the number one thing you want me doing when I start? And he said, I want you to help empower our fans who want to create guides, who want to, stream, who want to, create videos, who want to write blogs, empower them to do more. And I said, okay. And, it's been a bit of a run with a lot of launches, a lot of prep time coming up, but definitely after we get through the, super intensive launch schedule, uh, I want to even do a lot more of that. I have a lot of ideas. I have plans written out that I'm just waiting to put out. It's just always a question of time and what is immediate, and things that do not have to be done today are rarely taken as important as they should.
Well, speaking of that, you had the recent event. Well, not recent, but the event where they had make a guide or make a build rather. And one of the things that I really appreciated that Rift, and I think Seaton will agree with this, is they put both of our builds in the game that we actually made. And I
Yep.
believe I said it before, and I'm actually going to say it to you. I don't know if you actually did it or whoever did it. If you do know, I would like to thank them for doing that, because I haven't seen the game really do that ever, to be honest with you. And I was really shocked when Rift did it.
Unfortunately, it happened right before I came on. That kind of stuff is amazing. It's the cool stuff that comes out when you involve the players in the ability to actually impact the game, whether it's creating an item, creating a build. There's a power there that can't be found anywhere else. It does amazing things for the game. And, one of the things we were talking about the other day on the live stream was just creating minion cards. Like, hey, let's open that up for players. And, it's amazing. It's legally challenging, so we always have to work through that end and make sure that all the, I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, because otherwise you can have real problems. But, that is something that, we'd love to do a ton more of. It's actually, just getting the time and the resources to put it together. I will certainly pass your thanks on.
Thank you.
It is awesome, and that was one of the most awesome community projects that have been created. I was fortunate to do a contest last year in June, and unbeknown to me, towards the end of it, I was asked if I would like to have it on the live stream. I kind of did it not knowing that would happen. So this kind of approach has snowballed. I feel like I see Trion doing its best to involve community, fan sites, YouTubers, live streams where they can. Is this approach something that just happened, or was it created? Because not every game does that, doesn't involve the community as much, and it's much appreciated. And I'm just curious, is it having the great effect that you thought it would, doing that approach?
It always has really, really huge impacts, with the community. People get invested. It's not Trion's game, it's our game, as in the players and Trion. And that's a very different relationship than, maybe was popular, say, 10, 15 years ago, where we have handed this game on high from you and you are now lucky enough to play it. The involving the players and making it a collaborative thing is just so much better. And, that was one of the things that really made me want to come work at Trion, because, as somebody who spends my time as that interface, that kind of approach is always amazing. And if anybody has any super cool ideas like that, like, hey, Trion should do this, let us know. We are like always looking for new ideas. We are always like, this would be super cool. And of course, what works even better than just saying, hey, you guys should do this is, hey, you guys should work with me to do this, and I'm going to do these 5 things to help make this happen. One of the fan sites that I spent a lot of time working with lately was Riftgrate, and we'll bounce an idea back and forth off of one another, and then, hey, let's go ahead and make something happen, and that's amazing. When we can have a partner that we can work with, it's so much easier.
He is awesome. He is tireless. I've known him now for over 2 years. And even before we both had our fan sites, would be on the PTS, crunching numbers and stuff and bouncing off one another. So seeing his mind evolve into an actual site was primo. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and I know that Kiwi, you've done a lot of stuff in the past too. Definitely appreciated. I know that you're spread super thin with all your myriad of projects, but it's amazing when stuff like that happens, because we can accomplish so much more together than either one of us can do on our own.
What advice do you have for players considering doing a new site or channel? What if there's some players sitting out there wondering if they should do a YouTube or a channel or a live stream or invest in doing a site? What advice could you give to them?
So the advice I have to give to them is twofold. The first is, let the community manager know. They're there in part to help you. So anybody who's going out and starting something new, talk to the community manager, because they are ecstatic to help you out. They're like, whoa, somebody's doing something new and cool. I should help with that. The second thing I have to say about somebody who's starting to create videos, who's starting to stream, who's starting a new site, is it's all about marketing. It used to be the internet. When you type something up in a search engine, 1 result would come back, or 5 results would come back. Nowadays, it's not like that. It's you have to make yourself visible so that people can find the amazing resource that you're creating. So, learn how to use social media. I see a lot of streamers who are producing great technical quality streams, but they're not telling anyone. And if you don't tell anyone, nobody's going to ever look and see this amazing creation you've made. So it's not just one skill set. It's creating all the content, and 1, presenting it to people in a way that is new and interesting, 2, and 3, letting people know that this new content exists and attracting them so that they can share it with other people.
Right. I think all of us sitting in this channel right now are pretty innovative when it comes to YouTube live stream sites, and we do our best to try and promote other people too and get behind them and share their stuff as well. But there's been a lot of unrest, I guess, with 3.0 coming and a new approach. Once again, Trion's taken a new approach and sharing it via the fan sites and YouTubes and live streams. Do you have, on a different end of the scale, do you have any words for long-term players that have been doing this for a long time and perhaps they're not as content? Like, I'm referring to forums and stuff like that. I'm referring to 3.0 coming. Do you have any suggestions to long-term players that might want more support or stuff like that?
I'm going to say, again, the most important things are express how you're feeling. Because if people don't say how they're feeling, we won't know. But keep an open mind. Things change. The game evolves. Developments develop. So keeping an open mind, giving feedback, staying involved, making sure that, you're doing your best to share your perspective, and things will work out. You guys love Rift. We love Rift. Everybody loves Rift, and it's never going to be the same as it was 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But we're going to keep growing and going on this trip together. And so, if we do something that maybe people aren't so happy about, let us know. Let us know why. And then the next thing we can do can help make everybody happier again.
Right, and I think I'm probably a good case of evolving and changing and things like that, because for me it's important to stay fresh too. It keeps my game exciting. From a fan site perspective, that was my end game. So that was me always like changing things to match what was going on in the game, and then finding new stuff. And then when Arcade and Trove came along, it was just purely natural to just want to go and try them and bounce between the games. But Seedon's also another example of evolvement. Wouldn't you agree, Seedon, with your site coming? What made you think of doing that site?
Well, I just wanted to attract more people to my YouTube channel. As somebody who now does this as a full-time job, I'm like, how do I get more people? And what am I not doing? I'm not doing written guides. Well, I am doing written guides, but I'm putting them on the forums, and they're very kind of displaced. They're all over the place. How can I put them all in one big concentrated place? And boom, a website was born from the ashes of that. So yeah, basically that is how I came up with doing a website. Well, I've wanted to do one for a while, but just having like a full-time job, it is ridiculously hard to sort of manage a website, keep everything up to date, especially with games like Rift and Arcade, and work a full-time job and do all that stuff. It's just such a huge task. So I decided to, dedicate a full-time resource to it, and it's been going pretty well at the moment. So I've been very happy with that, how that's been turning out. And I can't wait for 3.0. I mean, that is just tons of more people eager to learn about the classes, the specs, the bosses, how everything works. So yeah, look forward to that. That's going to be hella fun.
And you've also evolved, haven't you, Sion?
Yeah. Well, pretty much what I went in first, I was just kind of like the happy-go-lucky person on YouTube handling Rift. Rift was actually one of 3 games that I was covering at first, and I kind of didn't expect it to be as popular as it got to be honest. I was just doing videos. I was doing PvP videos, actually. And what happened is one of my PvP videos, people liked the build I was doing, and I had no name for it. I didn't even really know anybody liked it until the video had like 3,000 views. And people were asking me questions. I was getting a lot of mail and saying, "Well, what build are you doing?" So I was okay. Well, I'll make a video on this build, and that's initially how the very first Lawbringer came about. That build. And I came to find out people wanted to hear what I had to say. So initially, I went from doing PvP videos to doing build videos to doing a Rift Weekly show, which was called Hanging Out in Rift. And it's just going on from there. And now, pretty much like Seaton, I'm just excited to actually get to the new level of content and see what everything is going to come about and how we can proceed from there. It's just fun all the way around.
It is. And in a nutshell, basically, it takes over your life, turns it upside down, and next thing you know, you're doing it a lot, right?
Pretty much.
So it sounds like a good relationship between CMs, fan sites. You've been told like what you could do and to share ideas, get in contact with the CMs, post it on the forums, have them well thought out, just like if you have discrepancies as well or concerns, have everything well thought out. They are open to suggestions, and everything takes time in the end. So patience is also something that really gets in there. So before we jump to 3.0 questions, just really quickly, do you play Rift, and what class do you play? Okay. Ocho, sorry.
I wish I could say one class, because then I would make a lot more progress. I have an alt problem. My main quote unquote is a cleric, but I've been playing my mage almost exclusively, and now because I was playing a rogue on test, now I just want to play a rogue. So it bounces back and forth. It's hard for me to pick one that I love the most. But it will be a rogue.
And what
For
aspect of Rift do you enjoy the most? PvE,
um,
PvP.
so I'm really not quite geared to the point where I can give PvP a reasonable try. It's something I'm really excited on, but I've been doing just PvE, instant adventures, dungeon runs. Oh my god, I love dungeons so much. But I am definitely looking forward to PvP. I'm going to be a big disappointment to you, Kiwi, and say that dimensions and trade skills are, sort of my personal, antithesis. But uh,
You're
that's
forgiven.
there's so many different stuff to do.
You are forgiven for that. There's a lot of people out there like that. So it's okay. And the biggest question, I guess, as far as all of your own style of play goes and whatnot, is there an Ocho minion card?
There isn't yet. They keep threatening to make one.
Threatening?
I'm a pretty terrible minion, so
What would
I
you
don't
do?
necessarily know. Usually exactly the opposite of what is asked. So
Maybe you should
I don't know if
retweet
anybody would want
alts.
that
Someone
card.
makes an alt, they get Ocho to come and say hi or something.
Yeah. No, they keep talking about it. It's just right now everything has been so focused on 3.0, just making sure everything's ready for 3.0. If I were to go into the office right now, there's 15 people in the office working. So
On a Sunday.
on just on Rift at the moment, at
Right.
least.
And so straight in there, what happened? What happened from October the 8th to October the 22nd? Are you able to share with us how that came about, or?
Sure. No, I mean, so way back when, we were sort of talking to Bill, and we're like, look, we need a release date. And Bill's like, I hate dates. And I said, I know, I hate dates too. But we do need something to tell somebody. And we sat down and we talked about it, and he talked to the team, he talked to Scott, he talked to a lot of people, and he says, October 8th is our target right now. We are aiming for October 8th. And I said, okay, that's good news. And we went out and, we told people, we announced it, we had articles, we talked to the press about it. And October 8th is a great date. But things are rarely that simple. It's, you are having to guess, how much work. And people worked really, really hard towards going on October 8th. And we could have. We could have released Nightmare Tide on October the 8th, and it would be an amazing expansion. But it wouldn't have been as amazing as we want, and it wouldn't have been as amazing as the players deserve. So, at some point you have to make the hard decisions. What's for launch, what's not for launch. How much polish do we want? And as we opened up, the open beta, and we read a whole bunch of feedback, and we talked to more people on the team. It was, this would be better. We would be better served, and the players would be better served by moving it to the 22nd. And, if that's the right decision, that's the right decision. And it's really frustrating because I know people made plans, and that sucks. And, we can always encourage people not to make those plans, but they're going to make those plans anyways, and we know it, which is one of the scary things about setting a date in the first place. But we have to be upfront and as open and honest about it. We were very clear when we made the announcement. This is our targeted date. And
And was that targeted date kind of based around all of other releases as well, or what was going on with other games to try and have them all flow into each other, if you like?
It's never one thing. I mean, definitely, we only have one audiovisual creative department. So, they handle things like creating our websites, doing videos and stuff. We can't stack, our titles on top of one another and say, "Oh, we're going to release everything the same day," and
That's what
also
I wanted, by the way. Just throwing that in there. I wanted them all released on the same day, just to see what happened. I think
yeah,
I said
and
that in this
certainly,
podcast.
we wanted to get in things like the new glyph authentication system, which has dramatically reduced incidents where people had their accounts compromised. We definitely need to just get that out first. So you make a schedule and you try and fit everything in, and you look at where the game is, you give your best guess, you try really hard, and it's ultimately, where is the game? Because that is going to make the most. That is what matters the most. Is the game ready, or would it be better if?
Well, I know these two gentlemen in the channel were relieved.
It's
Well,
it's so
definitely.
good. It's really hard to say no. It's not ready, but certainly certain areas could work. I mean, even things like we had check-ins planned for next Monday, and that's really cutting it too close. We've been doing a lot of optimization passes on, like, say, Margot Palace. Dromheim has been really, really heavy in need of optimization just because the amount of crazy stuff that's going on there, and I do mean literally crazy. And so it's like, okay, well, we could do it, and it would work out, but let's make it better.
No, so thank you for sharing that with us, and for also taking time out on your Sunday, on your day off, to sit with us and give us some insight into what it's like to be a community manager on the team. And like I said, 7 months has flown so quick. It's been great watching you out in the community. It's been great watching the community manager team grow. And it's been great seeing you guys meld and get in there and help out in every game, because I'm in all of them. All of us are, actually, Seaton and Storm as well. So it's nice. I love community, so I'm always out paying attention to community stuff. You guys are busy. So
Well, it's definitely rather be busy than not have anything to do. Although that's never a problem in community, but it's really good, and hopefully I'll get an invite to do this before another 7 months is up.
nice. And just other questions. Any news about Extra Life 2014?
We have some meetings set up for this week. We're definitely planning on doing something. We want to tell you about it. We have a blog post in the works. We might be sending out an email, something like that. But yeah, we're very excited to support Extra Life.
Love Extra Life. That is actually the reason why I started my Fansites stuff, to get the word out about Children's Miracle Hospital. So I'm looking forward to this year, and it's going to be a great no sleep event again. In Texas PAX 2015, will we see Trion there?
PAX South is really exciting. It's brand new. It's a part of the country where we don't often get a chance to go. So I really like PAX South. I've certainly mentioned the possibility to my wife, so she is aware that PAX South is coming up. But a lot of it's legal contracts. If we were to say go to PAX South until we had a place where we were going to be and booked and the contract signed, I really wouldn't be able to say anything. So no promises.
Well, I'll be looking out for that, hopefully, and hoping to see you guys in Texas. So before we close this awesome hour spent with Eric Ocho Cleaver, Senior Community Manager for Trion Worlds and Rift and Trove, Seaton, do you have anything to add or ask or say before we close out?
No, that's I don't really have any questions, Kiwi. I think you've pretty much covered everything and anything. So I'll pass it over to Sion.
No, I don't really have anything to add. Just like to thank you for taking the time to spend with us crazy people.
Speak for yourself.
If we weren't all a little crazy, we wouldn't be as much fun.
Right.
That is true.
We need to, stay up late nights and stuff like that to get stuff done. But it is a lot of pleasure being able to do this stuff with Trion Worlds and learn about you. And thank you once again, and thank your wife for letting you come and join us today. It's been a lot of fun.
I will certainly convey your thanks. Thank you. And my daughter will be very happy to be able to start listening to the radio at really, really, really loud volumes again.
Excellent. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you for tuning in, guys. It's been a great Sunday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of yours. To everyone in the live chat, I hope that gave you some insight into what happens at the community manager end of our awesome game of Rift. See you for 3.0. We have Space Boots coming on in a couple of weeks to talk PvP. So it's going to be all PvP talk in a couple of weeks, and I hope you join us for that. And thank you to MMORPG.com and sittingonacouch.com for another awesome podcast. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you later.